Hey y'all, Iric Sky here, and been doing some drastic studio renovations. I was going to do a live show from the studio tonight, but I'm going to switch that to tomorrow. I'm working on the lighting in the studio, so yeah, it'll be better to do it tomorrow. So yeah, with that being said, just want to follow up with everyone and see if anyone's encountered any other things with the Mavic Air 2's latest firmware yet. And if so, what have you encountered? I know there's a lot of questions. I've got a huge to-do list, and I'm still working on filming those videos of Mavic Air 2 questions so far. So, I'm doing everything I can to get those together and get those videos delivered to the world by way of Iric Sky's Adventure Channel. Brad, welcome aboard. Yeah, Brad, I won't be able to do the new studio show tonight. I'm going to push for tomorrow for the studio show. I did some work with the lighting today in the studio, and right now it's kind of in a state of disarray. Larry, welcome aboard. Good to have you here, man. Got a bunch of people tuning in here. Let's see, we got Brad, we got Larry. Infused Adventures, welcome Infused Adventures. Always good to have you. Yeah, so it's just the studio is not in a an on-camera ready. It's not on camera ready at the moment. Let's put it that way. I'm switching all the lights out to these. They're called Godox, and I posted a video, the unboxing video of the Godox, and the Godox is really cool. It's kind of like you look at it, it almost looks like a computer monitor, but it's not a monitor. It's just I'm chewing this gum. I ate a bunch of blackberries, and I've got those things all in my teeth. The seeds, blackberry seeds. But yeah, it's kind of like a computer monitor, except it's just a light. And the beauty of it is you get soft lighting. And typically, if you look at YouTube studios or video production studios, you see what are called softbox lights. Photographers use them too. It's basically, it looks like a big umbrella surrounding a light, and it has a like transparent cloth in the front so that the light can shine through. Those are good, but they take up a lot of space. And when you're like me and you don't have the huge YouTube studio yet, you're still working to grow the studio, I got to work with the space I've got. So what I found is that by getting the Godox, and again, check out my Godox unboxing video, but by getting 3 of the Godoxes, I'm able to save space. But also, when I do my next live show from the studio, you should notice that the light is perfect. Have you ever used? No, I use. I've got 2 of the LumeCube Airs, and I think that was the predecessor, and I like both of those. USB. Mine aren't the USB-C. They're the micro USB rechargeable. And I've really enjoyed those for light. But the thing is, with those, I mean, they're bright. The diffusers that come with them are white, kind of an off-white color, and those work really well. The only disadvantage to that is that they're trying to think of the best word for it. They're good for certain use cases, but for the they're not going to replace the dedicated, like the Godox panel that I use. They're not as large as the Godox. So mine, if you think about the LumeCube, a little cube about the size of a little bit larger than a few quarters side by side. The Godox is like a computer monitor size. I mean, it's It's huge. And so, you know, for my purposes, the Lume Cubes work well. When I'm in the field, the Lume Cubes are great. Always have them in my camera and you know, my camera bag, because, you know, I want to have, what's the word for it? You know, artificial light readily available. The other advantage that the Lume Cubes bring to the table is that they're highly water resistant. So I can, you know, I can recharge them with USB in the field. I can put them under the water if I need to, you know, for really cool shots. So, you know, they serve, Lume Cubes for me serve a great purpose on the channel. I need to use them more than I do. I've got them in my bag, and I found I don't use them much. I think a lot of it has to do with, I do a lot of natural light photography and natural light videography, because without a doubt, you can have the best lighting in the world, but if you don't have the right color temperature, it can ruin stuff. Battery life on that thing is pretty good from what I've experienced. Yeah, Lume Cubes, they get really good battery life. And from what you've said, I bet, you know, the version that that you're talking about is, you know, it being newer, it's probably even better battery life. You know, so that's super important. And, you know, something I like about these Godoxes that I've got in the studio now, the Godoxes, they can be controlled with a remote. And you can put multiple Godoxes on what they refer to as a channel. So at least starting out, I'm going to have 3 Godoxes. 2 Godoxes that light the green screen, and 1 Godox that functions as a key light, the light in front of me. You know, the color temperature I'll keep the same in all 3, 5500K. The brightness, I will probably make the green screens a little less bright than the key light. And the thing is, you know, it's just something I'm gonna have to tinker with, because, you know, I don't, you can't have shadows on a green screen. So there needs to be enough light to light the green screen, but your key light doesn't need to be so strong that it creates your shadow on the green screen. So it's kind of a fine-tuning act. The beauty of the Godox is that the Godox has a display on the back as well. So, you know, once I set it, I can pretty much forget it, because, you know, I'll have obviously the same brightness level for the 2 green screen Godoxes. And then I will have, you know, the same color temperature, but potentially brighter brightness for the key light Godox. So it's going to be cool. Now, you know, there's just a really cool, you know, and check out my video if you haven't checked out the Godox yet. I mean, it's, yeah, the build quality is good. I mean, you're not going to, you know, and you'll see in my unboxing video and my review video that I'm going to be posting, I think I'm going to post that one in a few days. Build quality is not outstanding, but the build quality is not cheap. You know, I look at the Godox as being, you know, good enough build quality to still be not too heavy and not too bulky. You know, so something, if you're not using it in the studio, the cool thing about the Godox is that you can put Sony NP series batteries on it. So you could take it out in the field and have in the field professional lighting that's powered by, you know, common Sony NP series batteries. And, you know, that's cool. I'm just running mine in the studio off of a DC adapter. So, and of course they attach to the top of a light stand, which is nice. What else? I mean, they're really fascinating lights. I mean, if you know, I know it's often hard to get excited about lights, but, you know, anything that you can acquire affordably, and again, these lights are affordable, anything that you can acquire affordably and improve your production quality is often worth the investment. So, you know, I mean, it's like anything else. You typically get out of something what you put in. You know, if you're going too cheap, you're going to have some amazing content to justify poor audio and or video quality. But there are people that do that. And there's people that do it on a 10-year-old camera. Have you ever had any problems? Navicare 2, obstacle avoidance. Let's see, let me reread that. Infused Adventures, have you ever had any problems with Navicare 2 obstacle avoidance, slowing down, especially during lower light? Actually, you know what? Now, again, I never use, I have obstacle avoidance on, but I never trust it or use it. But when you encounter very, very dark shade, like in the wilderness, underneath a bluff or something, or lower light conditions, yes, I have seen it. I forget the exact message, but it's something along the lines of, low light. I don't remember the exact words, but something along the lines of low light, obstacle avoidance may be unavailable or something like that. So, yeah, I think that's just the nature of the current obstacle avoidance system. So, speaking of that, did you know that Elon Musk, that Tesla guy, Elon Musk has the Starlink satellites. They're going to provide internet. And I've signed up to be a beta tester of Starlink, so that ought to be pretty cool. But did you know that Starlink has obstacle avoidance built in? It's the Department of Defense, the DoD's obstacle avoidance system. Interesting. Infused Adventure says this happens during the daytime, though. Are you in extremely bright sunlight? Because, it'd be interesting if, I can't say I've hit it in the daytime except in dense shade. So what I would do as a test is I would do it in strong sunlight. I would do it in moderate shade, and then I would try it in really dark shade and see which lighting situations you can encounter that, that message that you're talking about with your Mavic Air 2. That's definitely interesting. Interesting that, number one, that you've encountered that, especially during the day, and that, you've pointed that out here on the channel, because, that's the thing. Anything that's not necessarily a problem, but a curiosity, it's important to address all of those potential problems and curiosities, because, otherwise, as a drone channel, you're doing yourself and your viewers a disservice. So, you've added, and I'm going to add it to obstacle avoidance is something I need to more thoroughly test the next time I'm in the field with my Mavic Air 2, because that's interesting, man. Very, very interesting. And I wonder if temperature has to come into play anyway. Hosh Secular 78, just watched a live stream with Hybrid. Very cool. Very informative stuff. Yeah, it was awesome having Hybrid Life on the live show. It was also awesome having Brad on the live show. No, sorry, just an intermittent cellular glitch. Sorry about that intermittent cellular glitch. If it happens, I'll come back. No, I don't know Hybrid Life in real life. He had commented on a few live shows. He provided some very in-depth and very intriguing next step suggestions for content. He even mentioned, hey, you ought to do like a whatever the car rental service is, and rent a Tesla for a day just for review purposes. And that's actually quite brilliant, because if you do Turo or whatever it is, and I'm funny about going into car dealerships and being like, hey, posing as a potential buyer just to test drive and review. I know a lot of people do it from an ethical perspective. I can't do that, because I think it's an unfair waste of the salespeople's time, because you're not an actual buyer. But I've thought about going to car dealerships and just being upfront about it and saying, hey, I may get one of your vehicles in the future. However, now I'm just looking for vehicles to review on my YouTube channel. Oh, by the way, I've got close to 54 million video views and around 75,000 subscribers. It could be great exposure for your dealership. That kind of approach. I still haven't done that. But yeah, Hybrid Life was the one that said, hey man, you ought to do a Turo, you ought to rent a Tesla or something and review it because there's so much tech in it. And I think that would be good. I mean, I've got a real world friend that has a Tesla, but I would never ask a friend to borrow their vehicle and review on YouTube for my personal gain. I don't think that's fair either. But the Turo, I like that idea. And that's how Hybrid Life and I kind of kicked it off. And then he explained during the live show how he had found me. And he was searching for a wristwatch. And actually, I posted a video many years ago, back when they were available and they weren't expensive. But I picked up a popular wristwatch in the Cayman Islands. And, after I got it, obviously the first thing I do, since it was a dive watch, is went out in the ocean at 7 Mile Beach on Grand Cayman and swam with it. So yeah, he saw that video, thought it was cool, and so we did. And I hope to have Hybrid Life in the future as a guest, and I'd like to actually have multiple guests to really get conversations going about drones and entrepreneurship and stuff in general. This is a channel for entertainment, but it can also be a channel for education and, ultimately curiosity as well. Hybrid Life says, could you do same with watch dealers because of your interest in watches? I think that would be really cool. The challenge there is that, with all the whatever creates it, but the shortages, and I know there's a ton of different manufacturers and stuff. It doesn't just have to be Rolex, but if you're dealing with Rolex, because of whatever's driving the shortages, those are hard to just go in the store and then be in the counter. So I could do it with other brands. Yeah, Rolex would be difficult. Omega would be simple. Breitling would be simple. JJ LeCoultre, that'd be easy. That's the thing. There's a lot of value in that. I mean, people, as you know, people collect watches like, some people like cars. I mean, there's so many subtle differences, and you got to know what you're doing. You've got to, there's a lot of, it's easy for someone to want to celebrate a career milestone and go out and buy a nice watch. But what people don't realize is that they often make mistakes. And I think, and one personality does a really good job of it. And as you know, his delivery at times can be pretty out there. But someone that really knows watch collecting inside and out is Archibald Chesterfield III. And something I've done is I've tried to, and this would be a weird combo, Archie, yeah, AC3. What I've been trying to do is get Jenny L. She's a rising YouTube celebrity. I think she's above the 60,000 subscriber mark already, and she's German, but she does all of her watch reviews in English. So it's English with a German accent. It's pretty funny. So what I'm trying to do is get her set up with AC3 with Archie Luxury, Archibald Chesterfield III. Because I think those two characters on a live show, I mean, they're polar opposites, man. And I think if they got on the live show and talked watches, I think it would be absolutely hilarious. And that's, even though it would be hilarious, there would be educational value. And if you can blend education with entertainment, edutainment, as they might say, you've got the formula for a really good YouTube video or a really good YouTube live show. So it's that's a field that's is very interesting if you learn more about it. And I mean, I attribute a lot of what I've learned to Archibald Chesterfield III, which sounds crazy. And wherever I am in the Caribbean, and that's where I shop for wristwatches, is in the Caribbean. And when you're down there, you know, and as salespeople start talking to you, you know, they immediately know when they ask key questions and this, that, and the other, that you know your stuff. And what I always like to do is ask them about, so do you watch Archibald Chesterfield III? And most all of them know who he is. And this is not a joke. Most all the watch dealers know who he is. And they either chuckle or there's never anything bad said. It's either an immediate laugh or, I mean, I don't know, it's just funny. But needless to say, he's an example of someone that has thoroughly penetrated internet search. I mean, you search for a wristwatch, there's a good chance you're going to see AC3 or any multiple personalities. He's got one personality that's like it's a serious, like, Australian watch aficionado, you know, very proper. That personality is Paul Pluta. Then you've got Archie Luxury, which is just, I mean, it's his character he plays. I mean, he's an absolute train wreck. So you got that character. And then you've got Archie Luxury Corporate, which is a live streaming channel. And it's actually brilliant what he's done. He's gotten watch collectors of all different ethnicities, age groups, you know, backgrounds, this, that, and the other. So he's got a very diverse set of people that he often does live shows with. It's just a melting pot of knowledge. And it's just, it's funny how he does that. He's monetized that. It's brilliant. He won't respond to people's comments on his live shows unless they super chat. So people by default want to participate in his conversations, his live shows, but people know if their comments are going to be read, that they've got to, they've got to super chat. Because if, you know, if they're not throwing that money at Archibald Chesterfield III, he is not going to read their comments. And people know that because he never does. So he's stuck to his guns and he only reads. But I mean, just looking at the public amount that he's pulling in per live show, because he's embedded that within the minds of his viewers that, you know, hey, you've got to pay to be read. I mean, every live show he does, he's easily, and sometimes, you know, I never hardly ever get to watch him live because I got so many concurrent business ventures going. But I often watch a replay and just bust out a notepad and, you know, and add those dollar amounts. I mean, different currencies throughout the world. But the dollar amounts that he's taken in just from super chats alone through live shows is phenomenal. I mean, he's a very wise online business person, where he has, he's probably, I mean, if he's watching this video, that's fine. Where he's probably failed a little bit, and it works for his channel, but where he's probably failed a little bit, he's, he uses a ton of profanity, which can make you not advertiser friendly. But also, he's just got this ridiculous subject matter. He comes up with all these storylines about just crazy stuff, and it just carries out from video to video. So anyway, it's, I don't know, it's funny to see how different people do it on YouTube. And, you know, but he's one that, you know, that type of delivery, and he says it on his channel. I mean, he's pretty much made himself unemployable because of his, but the thing is, the joke that he has about that is that he's pretty much made himself unemployable because of his YouTube content, but he's actually making so much money for himself that he wouldn't want to be employed by anyone else except for himself. So it's interesting. And then you've got the other spectrum, the personality I was talking about. I was trying to, you know, get him on a live show with, is Jenny L from Germany. I say she's from Germany. She speaks German. Well, she speaks English, but her main language seems to be German. And I just think that would be an interesting, an interesting dynamic there. And apparently, looking at her channel, and again, I don't, I see what's public knowledge, because as a curiosity, I like to look at, what other trending YouTubers are doing. She's grown really rapidly, and my perception of how that's worked, just looking at, publicly viewable analytics for her channel, apparently her husband owns, I think it's Watch Vice, which is a wristwatch channel, but I don't think he speaks English. So basically, the way I interpret her success is that her husband probably set it up and has all the watches and the content, and she's pretty much the face and the voice translated to English. I mean, she's speaking in English. So it's actually a brilliant formula that they put together, and it's definitely working. I mean, for her to get, and you look at her first video date, I forget when it wasn't long ago, you know, to get over 60,000 subscribers that quickly, that's incredible. And I'm sure there's probably, you know, there's probably been some paid campaigns, which is perfectly fine if you do it on the up and up, you know, through Google and you know, AdWords for video. You can pay to promote videos legitimately. Now, you know, you can't, and people do, and I never have and I never will. Some people buy subscribers, and that'll get you in a heap of trouble because, you know, YouTube's smart. You know, they see what's a real subscriber and what's fake, and, you know, that's a maneuver that a lot of people take, which I would never take. And, you know, often they see a quick spike, and then a few weeks or a few months later, they may see a channel that's been blocked, or disabled rather, by YouTube. So it's, yeah, it's fascinating stuff. You know, that's part of the journey on this channel of just YouTube in general. Is just, it's cool because the platform's always changing. Their tools are always changing. How Google wants you to utilize their tools is always changing. So, you know, the experience never gets old. And, you know, from a creator's perspective, the ability to constantly challenge yourself to, you know, number one, make more money, but number two, figure out, okay, now how can I invest this money to, you know, continue to grow my channel, make the production quality better, but also learn. So, you know, one of the big challenges that I've presented myself with is just figuring out, okay, you know, whatever I make, which I'll never talk numbers, but, you know, how can I best invest that for a blend of, one, generating the most money, number two, having fun, and then number three, you know, the content. This is so much in the Caribbean, you know, content that I can really enjoy capturing. And, you know, I like being able to work that into the business is really cool. You know, it's always fun to, you know, to have work that you enjoy performing. And, you know, that's one of the most enjoyable aspects of Higher Skies Adventure channel. Now, you know, obviously now the channel is subject to a travel ban. You know, there will be no travel. Higher Skies Adventure channel travel has been disallowed until further notice. But as soon as this pandemic clears, man, back in the boat and out at it again. So, you know, that's going to be super fun. But yeah, drones, love drones, and drones can go everywhere, man. Well, I mean, not everywhere. There's places you can't take drones, but for the most part, with drone videos, if you've got a large, permissible, and safe outdoor space, you can fly a drone and capture all sorts of cool content. And that's, you know, that's what's so cool about this channel is, you know, being able to, you know, take that technology and capture environments from a unique perspective. And, you know, while doing that, you know, better learning the technologies and sharing, you know, learning from the audience and sharing lessons learned with the audience, and, you know, responding to problems that are reported by the audience. And that's a big piece. Tomorrow, I'll be filming a lot of these firmware troubleshooting videos for Mavic Air 2, because it's, you know, it's apparent that there's a lot of people that have reported issues with their Mavic Air 2 firmware weather. And that's something I want to test because, you know, it's interesting to see what fails and what doesn't. So, yep, just burning some fat off, man. Whew. It's hot, it's hot, it's hot. Oh, man. Motorcycles. That's always good. That's something I've never done. I've never had an interest in. I've got a a motorcycle license. So if I'm ever in a situation where I have to, legally drive a motorcycle, that I'm licensed to do so. But it's something I never had an interest in after I got hit by a car on a bicycle. So, but I've got the license should I ever need it. So, yeah, it's kind of cool. And you don't even need one when, I don't know, maybe you do. When I'm in Bermuda, I always drive a moped, but I don't know if a license matters for that or not. Who knows? I got all these blackberry seeds out of my teeth. I had a blackberry bush, man. I just took the hose out to it, sprayed it off, and just ate all the berries like a boss. Sometimes that's the only way to do it, man. Just eat those berries right off the bush. Yep. Good stuff. But yeah, it'll get stuck all in your teeth. So, I got more people tuning in here, and I'm going to try to do an in-studio show tomorrow because I've got, I'll have at least part of the lighting up. Like I say, the Godox lights. I've got 2 more I've got to finish setting up. The ones for the green screen, but I can do it without the green screen and just do, in the studio, just very casual live shows. So that's probably what I'm going to target for tomorrow. Don't know the time yet. I've just got to check my appointments. Typically, Saturdays and Sundays for me are pretty booked solid. So, I've got all the projects that I do, and then I've got the YouTube videos, which take time, and typically I do the editing late in the evenings just to kind of relax and do all that. But yeah, it's live show is on the agenda for tomorrow though. So let's see here. Man, it's hot. Yep. More people tuning in. Welcome aboard, y'all. If you're watching this at approximately 9 p.m. New York City time, that's Eastern time in the United States of America, then this is a live show. I know we've got a small audience tonight though, because you know what's on TV? The man is doing his live talk, so that's probably taking a few viewers away, which is understandable. But yeah, I want to do a live show anyway. I don't enjoy watching politics. I will say there were a few politicians that I've met that I really enjoyed listening to them speak. And one of the coolest ones, and I don't agree with their political views, but when you walked in the room, it was immediately obvious that this was a very powerful person. And they spoke, everything was Russian. They didn't speak English. They spoke everything in Russian, and they had a translator that was translating plus sign language on the fly. And this was Mikhail Gorbachev. And you're talking about an intimidating dude. That dude was intimidating. So that was the most intimidating politician that I've ever listened to. The politician I liked the most, just down to earth, was George W. He was really good. Got to shake his hand after his speech, and that was a cool experience. But yeah, again, nowadays I don't keep up with politics just because it's a reason to argue, and it's a reason to get that blood pressure elevated. It's just not worth it. So, but it is cool, if you ever have an opportunity to meet politicians, it's cool. Meet all the different parties, meet all the different politicians from other countries, and it's just a cool experience. But I have zero interest in politics nowadays. But yeah, with that being said, yep, so Mavic Air 2, I've got that list, and I would read the list to y'all if I was in the studio, but I'm walking, I've only got one device. So, but one of the big ones I'm going to do is the 8K Hyperlapse. The 8K hyperlapse is something a lot of y'all have requested. Excuse me, and that's a feature that Mavic Air 2's latest firmware brought to the table. So that ought to be cool. And let's see what else. Yeah, just updating everybody on a Saturday. Good weekend weather. So with that being said, I will stay on the lookout, because I'm going to try to get that invite out for the live show from the studio tomorrow, and that'll be a more sit down, and instead of walking and talking to a smartphone. And I'll have the didgeridoo out for super chats, the sound of the super chat, so that'll be there. And ought to be a good show. We've got a quiet crowd today, man. Super quiet. Hybrid Life said a few things, and Host Sheckler said a few things. Infused Adventures, Larry Nichols, Brad. We got quiet people though. It's quiet. Nothing wrong with being quiet, unless you're like quiet and creepy. I mean, those quiet, creepy people are the scary people, But nothing wrong with being quiet. Just enjoying a live stream. Sending some super chats. Clicking that little super chat button down the chat area. But yeah, it's interesting. It is very, very interesting. So on that note, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this, just a quick weekend update live show. Nothing formal. Oh, wait, Winfred. Hello, Irix and everyone else. Is anyone familiar with the... Let's see, I got to pop that up here. Is anyone familiar with the rain wetsuits that are made for the DJI drones, including Mavic Air 2? I've never heard of it. And you know what, the first thing I'm going to do is, after this live show, is research that. Because if you can fly a Mavic Air 2 in the rain, yeah, send me the link, man. So are they designed for flying in the rain, or are they... I mean, I assume it's just flying. It's probably not landing on the water or anything. I don't guess they add flotation capabilities, do they? That's cool. See, that's the thing about these live shows, man. You learn stuff new. I've never heard of a rain wetsuit for Mavic Air 2, or any drone for that matter. That's super cool. Super duper cool. Now you got my mind wondering. It's like, Yep. Interesting. Well, yeah, send me that link and I'll take a look, and stay tuned for the live show from the studio tomorrow. I'm going to get a little bit more cardio in here. And I'm going to get some more cardio and drink some water and get cleaned up. So thank y'all for tuning in. Stay tuned for another live show very soon. And that very soon show will be tomorrow. Y'all have a good one.